Hello ComixFam. In our previous video on the KO tie-ins, you have witnessed how Bart landed in Russia, 1908, and was attacked by the Omega Legion. You have seen how the Omega Legion attacked Lois and Superboy-Prime, and triggered Lois Lane's Superwoman powers. You have seen the Titans aiding in evacuation while Starfire was attacked by the armies of Apocalypse. And you have also witnessed the Justice League teleporting to Hell to fight Neron. In today's video, we bring you what happens next. So without wasting another second, smash that subscribe button and let's dive in. Flash family fights the Legion of Darkseid. Max Mercury, once known in 1908 as Whip Whirlwind, ranted with manic devotion about the glory of Darkseid and the coming supremacy of Omega Speed. He proclaimed that the Speed Force itself was a flawed relic that needed to die, insisting that through Darkseid's power, he would transcend all limits and become the fastest being to ever exist. As his words spilled out with fanatical certainty, Impulse immediately sensed that something was deeply wrong. He realized that Saturn Girl, Cosmic Boy, and Lightning Lad were not the legion of superheroes he knew from his own future, but a twisted reflection of them, the Legion of Darkseid from another world entirely. To prove Whirlwind's loyalty, the Legion coldly ordered him to kill Impulse, forcing Bart to flee for his life. As Bart tore through the landscape, he blasted past Wally West, who instinctively gave chase. While running, Wally felt a disturbing distortion rippling through the Speed Force itself, as if something fundamental had been poisoned. Whip Whirlwind suddenly slammed into him as they sprinted across open water, dragging him beneath the surface in an attempt to drown him. Wally fought free and surged upward at impossible speed, exploding out of the water at Mach 12 and launching himself skyward atop a towering waterspout. He slammed Whirlwind back toward the ground, but Lightning Lad intercepted him mid-air and struck him down. The Legion regrouped, declaring that Impulse still needed to be captured, while Saturn Girl calmly revealed that she had already sent someone to deal with him. Bart raced along the Trans-Siberian Railway, only to collide head-on with XS, the Legion's agent of Omega Speed. Elsewhere, Wally escaped the Legion by stealing Cosmic Boy's flight ring and took to the air, scanning desperately for Bart. As he flew, the implications of what he had heard sank in. Darkseid was attempting to overwrite the Speed Force itself with Omega Speed, destabilizing reality. If Wally and Bart continued interfering with time under these conditions, they risked unraveling everything. Spotting Bart and XS near the railway, Wally dove toward them, the Legion close behind. Bart initially mistook XS for his cousin Jenny, but she revealed her true nature as the living embodiment of Omega Speed. Even as she launched into her ominous declaration of loyalty to Darkseid, Bart bolted onto a moving train. XS followed, cornering him and offering him a place in the Legion. When she uttered the phrase, "Darkseid is," Bart pressed her for its meaning, only to find she could not explain it herself. Wally crashed through the train moments later, hurling XS out a window before scolding Bart for endangering civilians. He warned that if the Legion caught them there, over 100 historical timelines would be altered. The battle escalated as Cosmic Boy tore the roof from the train and Lightning Lad flooded it with electricity. Bart saved the passengers by shouting instructions in Russian, while Wally neutralized Lightning Lad with a well-aimed throw of a passenger's bag. In 2 seconds, Wally and Bart evacuated the train, but Cosmic Boy lifted it skyward as they searched for survivors. On the ground, XS devised a final solution, instructing Saturn Girl to activate the time bubbles and take the Legion to Central City on the night Bart Allen gained his powers. The Legion vanished, leaving the train to crash. Wally and Bart survived the wreck, but as they emerged, Bart realized his speed was gone. While he feared the Speed Force itself had vanished, Wally could still feel it faintly. Understanding the truth, Wally realized the Legion had changed something in his past, and with grim urgency, he told Bart they needed to reach Bart Allen immediately. Superwoman and Superboy-Prime fight to reach Superman. In the past, after Lois Lane had lost her superpowers, the Justice League brought her to the Watchtower for a full medical evaluation. Mr. Terrific personally oversaw the tests and explained the uncomfortable truth to her. Because the origin of her powers had never been fully understood, there was no way to determine whether those abilities had been destroyed or simply returned to whoever or whatever had first granted them. Their disappearance did not necessarily mean they would ever return. Terrific offered further testing and long-term monitoring, but Lois had already reached a quiet acceptance. She made peace with the idea that her time as Superwoman was over and chose to move forward without clinging to what she had lost. That certainty was now shattered. After being exposed to the energies of Sunboy from the Omega Legion, Lois felt her powers surge back through her body. The return was sudden and violent, and she proved it by knocking Sunboy unconscious with a single, decisive strike. Superboy-Prime, standing beside her as an uneasy ally, warned that the powers might be temporary and unstable, urging her to conserve her strength. He insisted they should leave before the remaining Legionnaires arrived, but Lois refused. She revealed that she had uncovered vital information capable of stopping Darkseid, and insisted that the Fortress of Solitude had to be defended long enough for that knowledge to reach Superman. Elsewhere, at the King Omega tournament, Superman faced a brutal path as he fought to gain the power necessary to stop Darkseid's conquest of the universe. Among his most dangerous obstacles was Lex Luthor, who had known about the tournament long before the League entered it. Lex had been fully aware of the Justice League's plan to capture villains in advance to prevent interference, and he had moved quickly to counter it. A week earlier, Grodd had informed Lex of everything that had transpired at the Watchtower through their psychic link. Anticipating the League's strategy, Lex sabotaged Mr. Terrific's teleportation spheres, redirecting the villains to the Hall of Doom instead of the Phantom Zone. There, Lex explained the situation plainly. The Justice League intended to descend to the center of the Earth and compete for the Heart of Apocalypse, a relic capable of granting godlike power. Lex mocked the idea of heroes trying to behave like villains, arguing that only true villains possessed the cruelty required to win. Some, like Cheetah, refused to trust him, but others, especially the Joker, were eager for the chance at unlimited power. Outfitted in armor of Lex's design, the reformed Legion of Doom forced their way into the tournament through Skartaris. Back in the present moment of the story, the tournament advanced into the graveyard of the gods. Lex coldly told Superman that sacrifice was inevitable and that even Superman's allies would be forced to pay a price. Superman dismissed him and prepared for the next round, where he would face Captain Atom while Lex confronted Etrigan. At the Fortress of Solitude, Lois briefed Superboy-Prime on the tournament and stressed the importance of the information stored in Lara's holographic archives. Prime left to gather reinforcements just as Sunboy awakened, supported by Pharaoh Lad and Timberwolf. The Legionnaires attempted to destroy the archives, but Prime returned with unexpected help. Superman arrived to defend the fortress, shocking Lois with his sudden appearance. Together, they drove the Legion back. Yet when Lois turned to speak with her husband, she realized the truth. This Superman was a robot, one of many constructs hidden within the fortress. Prime revealed that the real Superman could only be saved one way, and that path led to the Time Trapper. But Time Trapper was already attacked by Booster Gold, and apparently killed. Booster Gold now worked for Darkseid, and he was going to enter the KO tournament. Titans fight to save Earth and Gemworld. Nightwing and Raven hovered over the human settlement camp and discussed how difficult and overwhelming it had been to evacuate the population and bring them to a safe haven. Raven could still feel the pain and anxiety of the population who had been displaced. Nightwing said that it was actually good that they could bring their share of population to this place. Amethyst arrived and welcomed all of them to Gemworld. Nightwing thanked her. Raven asked Amethyst where Terra had been kept. Amethyst said that she had Terra locked up in the dungeon. As they walked towards the castle, they were met by a little girl looking for her parents. Amethyst promised that her magicians would help her. They went inside. Right then, Raven reminded Nightwing to call Wonder Girl and ask if the other Titans were okay. Nightwing immediately patched Wonder Girl over the comm and asked her. Donna said that Starfire had issued an alarm that they had been attacked, but the emergency channel was jammed and the communication died. Meanwhile, Starfire stood surrounded by Granny Goodness and her army of Furies and Parademons. At Gemworld, Beast Boy and Beast Girl fought a swarm of giant creatures and tried to get them away from the refugee camp. Suddenly, there was a smashing boom from the throne room. Raven and Nightwing tore through the debris into the room. But instead of Amethyst and the other royalties, they found Jinx. She had masqueraded as that little girl and infiltrated the throne room and had imprisoned Amethyst and the great sorcerers inside her gems. Jinx ordered Nightwing and Raven to bow before her, for she was the new princess. In space, Starfire ordered the Titan's towers to retreat, while she held back Granny's forces. The parademons attacked, and Starfire got ready to throw her punch. But suddenly, Green Lantern Jessica Cruz appeared with her companions and shielded Starfire. They had heard Starfire's call for help and came to assist. She said that they had brought extra help, the Tamaranian fleet. Starfire turned and saw that her sister, Queen Blackfire, had also arrived. Blackfire said coldly to Starfire that she and the Earthlings owed her their lives. Meanwhile, on Gemworld, Jinx attacked Raven and Nightwing. She conjured monsters made of gems and ordered them to obliterate the two heroes. Nightwing tried contacting other Titans on Earth, but all communications were cut off. Raven said that there was only one way out. She broke into the dungeons and freed Terra. She said that they needed Terra's help, and Terra better not make her regret this. And elsewhere, Cyborg reflected how he had to fight in order to save this world. He was doing it for his friends. He said to himself, "You can do this, Cyborg, or die trying." Saying this, he entered the KO tournament, the Justice League Fight in Hell. Mr. Terrific's team began its brutal descent through the depths of hell, moving through a landscape that fought them at every step, as if the realm itself rejected their presence. Their advance was quickly interrupted by the arrival of the Demons 3, ancient and vicious entities who had clashed with the Justice League countless times before. Yet this was not Earth, and the familiar victories meant nothing here. In Hell, the demons held every advantage, twisting the terrain, the air, and the rules of combat to their will. As the assault intensified, Power Girl and Guy Gardner threw themselves into the heart of the enemy ranks, holding back the demonic horde so the rest of the team could escape. Owlwoman resisted the order to retreat, unwilling to abandon her allies, but Terrific coldly reminded her that none of them had anything waiting for them beyond this mission. They were a team forged from loss, and every member was expendable. His words became grim reality when Power Girl and Guy were overwhelmed and torn apart by the demons they had held at bay. Far above, at the Watchtower, Professor Haley and June Robbins of the Challengers of the Unknown completed their diagnostics on Red Tornado, confirming that the android was operating at 98% efficiency. When Blue Beetle asked whether Red Tornado could determine what was happening across the planet, the machine found itself unable to provide an answer. Blue Beetle then revealed a more disturbing development. Rather than evacuating Earth, several supervillains had chosen to remain behind, striking a pact with the demon Neron. In exchange for their souls, Neron had enhanced their powers, though their ultimate objective remained unclear. All that could be confirmed was that these empowered villains were converging on Oklahoma City. On Earth's surface, Wally West joined forces with Martian Manhunter and Dr. Occult to subdue a trio of escaped criminals. The situation escalated when Rainbow Raider manipulated their emotions, attempting to turn them against one another. Wallace relied on his speed to evade the Raiders' energy beams, incapacitating him and his accomplices before they could do further damage. Once the threat was neutralized, Wallace informed his teammates of the villains' coordinated movement toward Oklahoma City. Back in Hell, Tim Drake, the Batman of the future, struggled to comprehend the mounting losses and chaos around him. Alan Scott harshly ordered him to stand and refocus, while Gold Hawk intervened, reminding the veteran hero that Tim was still a young man bearing an unbearable weight. Despite the tension, Tim remembered his purpose and rejoined the march. The team eventually reached a massive gate guarded by a demon shaped like a young girl, her eyes hidden beneath writhing snakes. Able to read minds, she demanded they play a game, unleashing her serpents to enforce the challenge. To spare his allies, Terrific stepped forward and proposed a test of truth and lies. Confident in her powers, the demon accepted. Terrific spoke a paradox that shattered her certainty, enraging her into unleashing colossal serpents upon the heroes. While the team slipped through the gate, Alan remained behind, holding the demons at bay until he was torn apart by a swarm of wooden snakes. From his shadowed sanctuary, Neron observed their progress and dispatched even greater forces to ensure their suffering continued. What happens now? Can the heroes fighting outside the tournament win their own battles? Fear not, ComixFam. We will cover the entire tournament together, with all the actions happening outside of it. in the best quality narration possible. Make sure you let us know your thoughts in the comments box. Keep buying comic books. Stay tuned. Stay absolute.